Isn't it wild how you can be so good at solving other people's problems, but when you look at your own life, it just feels like a complete mess? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into today. This incredibly strange but super common phenomenon.
I bet someone just popped into your head. You know, that one friend who's like a superhero for everyone else. They're the go-to person for advice on careers, relationships, you name it. They see the perfect solution for anyone else with like crystal clarity. But when you look at their own life, whoa, it's a totally different story. And, you know, if we're being really honest with ourselves here, maybe that person isn't just a friend. Maybe that person is us. So what's the deal with that? Is it just plain hypocrisy? A total lack of willpower? Well, actually, no. It turns out there's a real psychological reason for it. I mean, let's face it, society is quick to judge, right? We see this and we immediately think, why can't they just take their own advice? We slap a label on it, call it a character flaw, or say they just aren't disciplined. But the truth is, it's way more complicated than that.
It actually has a name: Solomon's paradox. This is the official term for why we are just naturally better, more logical, more clear-headed when we're thinking about someone else's problems. It's not a bug, it's a feature of how our brains are wired.
Okay, so if it's a feature of our brains, how does that actually work? Let's take a look at what your brain is doing when you're dealing with your own problems versus someone else's.
It pretty much boils down to one huge thing: emotional distance. When a friend tells you that problem, you're an outside observer. You're like a coach on the sidelines. You can see the whole field clearly. But when it's your problem, you're in the middle of the game getting slammed by fear, your ego, and all your past baggage. Basically, your emotions totally hijack your logic. All those intense feelings that are tied up in our own struggles, they just short-circuit the rational, problem-solving part of our brain. That super clear path you see for others, it just vanishes in a thick fog of your own feelings.
But it's not just about our emotions getting in the way. For a lot of us, there's this other mental hurdle that's just as big: the never-ending loop of overthinking. And this is especially true for people who are highly intelligent and really self-aware. Your brain is a supercomputer, constantly running these little mental simulations, playing out every possible future and asking what if again and again and again. It's an amazing tool, but when you turn it on yourself, it can be absolutely paralyzing.
You can see how the spiral works, right? For a friend, you see this beautiful, clear highway forward. But for yourself, you suddenly zoom in on every single crack in the pavement. You overanalyze every pothole and potential wrong turn until you're just frozen, stuck. Not because you don't have options, but because you have way too many. Okay, but the rabbit hole goes even deeper. There are often these hidden, subconscious reasons that keep us stuck in this fixer role for everybody else.
Helping other people can actually be a really sophisticated way to avoid your own stuff. I mean, think about it. When your own life feels chaotic, fixing someone else's problem gives you this amazing temporary feeling of control. It's a quick win, a little hit of achievement that's a super powerful distraction from the mess you don't want to deal with.
And here's where it gets really tricky. Over time, this stops being something you do and starts becoming who you are. Your entire self-worth gets tangled up in being the helpful one, the fixer. And trying to step away from that role can feel like you're losing a huge part of yourself. Think of your energy like your phone's battery. You pour, let's say, 80% of it into helping everyone else around you. And by the time you finally turned your own life, your own problems, you're running on fumes. You're trying to tackle your biggest challenges with only 5% of your battery left. It's just not going to work.
And all of this leads to the final, and maybe the most isolating piece of the puzzle: why the person who gives the best advice often just can't bring themselves to ask for any.
There's this massive internal conflict happening. Your whole identity is built on being the reliable one, the strong one. So the fear of asking for help isn't just about the problem, it's about shattering that image. You're terrified of being seen as a burden, or even worse, as weak.
At the end of the day, keeping up that wall of strength just feels safer than the raw, scary feeling of being vulnerable. And so you stay quiet, you stay stuck, trying to figure it all out with a tired mind all by yourself. So after going through all of this, the brain science, the overthinking, the hidden motives, what's the big takeaway here? If you see yourself in this, what does it all actually mean?
I really want you to let this message sink in. You are not a hypocrite for not taking your own advice, and you are definitely, absolutely not broken. What you're going through is a fundamental and very normal part of being human.
In fact, the very things that cause this problem are also your greatest strengths.
You're probably a deeply empathetic person. You're highly observant, which is why you can see the solutions for other people so clearly. The only trick is, you need to start giving that same patience and that same support to yourself.
So I'm going to leave you with this one last thought to really chew on. Think about that brilliant, kind, compassionate advice you'd give to your best friend if they were in your exact shoes right now. What's that one piece of advice that you really, truly need to start taking for yourself?